don't need a new PC, you don't need a new camera, and you definitely don't need to spend thousands to make your stream look good. Most streams look bad for one specific reason, and that is the fact that the OBS settings are done completely wrong. So in this video, I'm going to show you the best settings for 2026 for how to set up your OBS for streaming being the main focus. I'm going to tell you what these settings are doing, why they matter, and which ones actually make a difference. And I'll do all of that without overcomplicating it so it makes sense even if you want your brand to set it up for you. Because clean and smooth streams don't come from expensive gear, they come from smart configuration. Before we get into those settings though, there's something important we need to talk about. A lot of creators spend all of their time making their streams look better, but they never solve the bigger problem, which is actually getting people to see you whilst you're live. And that is where clipping and repurposing your streams matters. Once your stream is high quality and clean, you need to make sure that your content is working for you even when you're not live. Otherwise, you're never going to get discovered. When you're done streaming, or even if you post YouTube videos, you can turn those into clips too. NexusClips will automatically go through your stream for you, and in a few minutes, it finds you the best moments and reformats them for a vertical clip. It keeps you framed properly using facial recognition, and it even adds stuff like animated subtitles so the clips are attention heavy and high quality. You might be wondering how all these big streamers are posting clips every single day with captions and really good looking quality. It's by using tools like this. So instead of spending hours scrubbing through footage, you can turn one stream into multiple clips to help new people discover you. If you're at a point with your streams where you're like, I've really nailed this, my streams are looking good, they're feeling good right now, then this is the easiest next step to get way more eyeballs on you. And not only that, but you can do this without burning out, and you can get results like I have here just with the ease of AI giving you that efficiency. And no, it's not just generating AI slop, it is using the content you've already streamed, your content, and just formatting it for you to save you a ton of time. I'll leave a link below so you can try this out for free, or you can use code CAL for 10% off of any order on the website. Alright, now let's fix your OBS settings, shall we? First up, video settings. So go to settings and then to video, and then your base or canvas resolution should match your monitor. Normally this is 1920 by 1080p if you have a conventional HD monitor like these two here, or if you have a 4K one like this one, you might want to bump that up as long as your PC can handle that when you're live, of course. I'll leave a link to Twitch's guidelines below, by the way, because there's this really handy broadcasting guidelines thing here. It shows you based on your spec and your internet speeds what your bitrate should be and what the best settings are for specifically you. This is different for everybody, so you can copy me as much as possible here, and I will deep dive all of the settings, but this is a good place to go to find out very, very fine-tuned specifics for your setup in particular. But anyway, next up is your output resolution. Most small streamers should not be streaming realistically at 1080p here. Instead, set your output resolution to 1664 by 936 or even 1280 by 720, which is what I normally do. And here's why. Viewers are going to care far more about a smooth stream than they do about the pixel count on the screen. A smooth 720p stream looks a lot better than a stuttery or choppy 1080p stream every single time. And I know there's going to be people out there that have that resistance immediately in your head. You're going to be like, 720p, no, that's so old school, that's gross. No, it's still HD. 720p is HD, and you might be thinking it's going to look terrible. It's not. It's going to look so close to 1080p that you'll barely notice the difference, especially when you're streaming, trust me. Moving on though, for FPS, you need to lock this to 60 if your system can handle it, and if not, 30 is fine. Just so you know what this does, the higher the number, the smoother the motion between frames, basically. But for example, this video that you're watching right now of me is filmed at 30 FPS. 60 FPS is normally filmed for people that want to slow footage down because there's more motion if you move around, it's more frames. But 30 FPS is kind of a social media standard, so it's going to be more than fine when you're live streaming. Next up, your output settings. Switch your output mode to advanced before you do anything else at the top here, and then you'll see you have encoder settings in this option here. You want to be using NVENC new if you have an NVIDIA GPU, or use X264 if you don't. Your rate control should be CBR, and then your bitrate depends a little bit on your streaming platform, but for Twitch it's normally between 4500 and 6000, and if it's YouTube, anywhere between 6 and 9000 for 720 to 936p streams is a really nice sweet spot. For your keyframe interval, set that to 2. For your preset, go for quality, and for your profile, go for high. These settings make kind of marginal differences and just make it a bit smoother, so I'm not going to deep dive into every single one of them and chew your ear off, but that setup that I just gave you will give you the best balance of quality but also that smooth feeling on stream, so you don't have stuttering frames and a bunch of lag issues. Now let's talk about a setting that loads of people ignore, audio. So again, go to settings and this time go to audio. You'll see your sample rate settings here. It might already be this default, but if not, set it to 48 kilohertz. You may need to match this across the board on your PC too, so if you're setting up a mic in OBS, obviously change that setting in OBS as I showed you. But if you have a mic that has its own software, like this one does for example, and you're going to be using that whilst you've got it plugged in and you're using it, then you might have to change those settings in that software as well, just to make sure that it's actually applying to your microphone. Moving on though, for desktop audio, don't just leave it blasting. Lower your game audio slightly and keep your mic audio as the more dominant track so people can actually hear you. Because if viewers can't hear you clearly, then they're not going to stay. Now, you'll see next to this mic track, in fact, there is a gear icon. icon, which we're going to click on to add some filters. At minimum, there's 3 things I typically use and recommend using if you want the smoothest audio possible. First up, a noise gate, because this is going to block out keyboard and mouse clicks, and generally it's going to eliminate a little bit of background noise in your room. A compressor is another thing I use here to balance out your voice quite nicely, especially when you have that noise gate applied. And finally, adding a limiter is a good shout here to stop any popping sounds and kind of peaks in the audio going way too high if you shout or yell or scream. OBS is pretty great for audio settings nowadays. You don't need studio level tuning necessarily, you just need clarity. I don't know about you guys, but in my experience too, when I'm watching streams, if there's not clear audio, I kind of prefer that over clear video. I'd rather see like less pixels on the stream but actually hear what you're saying than vice versa, so make sure you really get your audio settings really nice, because that could be the reason someone stayed. Next up, let's go through your scenes and your layout. This is where a lot of streamers overdo it, because you don't need like 10 different scenes, you just need the very basics. Make sure you've got a starting soon screen, have maybe a BRB screen, obviously a gameplay scene, and if you do need it, then a just chatting scene is also there too. And by the way, if you're looking for artwork for this and like a looping nice video version, I have free Twitch artwork on my website, which is linked down below. No catch, you can just get a bunch of free packs to help you get going with it. Some basic tips with scenes too. Make sure your camera is large enough so you can actually see facial expressions, especially when people are scrolling through hundreds of streams on Twitch. They're going to be more likely to click you if they can actually see you reacting, rather than just a block of gameplay like everybody else. Another thing is just make sure that any alerts or any pop-ups that you have aren't covering your face or taking up too much time or space. And if you're adding any text, make sure it's big enough and clear enough to be readable, even if someone was going to see it on a phone screen, because believe it or not, somehow, I think this is weird, statistically more people watch streamers on their phone than on any other device. Maybe that's a weird stat for me because I always watch and do streams from PC, but let me know what you think. I just think that's crazy. I thought most people would be on their PCs, you know, laptop. But, you know, we move on. Overall, with your scenes and overlays, simple beats flashy every time, so it's easy to spend hours obsessing over this, and I think it's also easy to convince yourself it's more important than it actually is. But just make it high quality and simple and get going with your live streams. Actually, going live makes way more difference than just sitting there and trying to make it look nice. Finally, let's talk a little bit about mindset. Your OBS settings don't need to be perfect. There is no perfect setup for anybody, and it differs for everybody. They just need to be good enough to stop you hitting a bottleneck or having any kind of massive glaring issues like stream lag, stutter, drop frames, all of that fun stuff. So there's 3 things that I need you to tick off and then just move on to going live. Does your stream look clean enough that you would happily sit and watch it? If it does, tick. Does your audio sound clear enough that you wouldn't mind sitting and listening to it? If it does, that's another tick. When you go live, is it running smoothly? You're not dropping frames, lagging or stuttering too much? If not at all, hopefully. If so, third tick. And if you did all the settings in this video and you've ticked all 3 of those, that's it. Don't obsess over OBS settings anymore. Unless you start upgrading tech and need to tweak something, you never need to touch this again. Your focus now should shift to content, to moments, to discovery. That's where the growth on stream actually comes from. You might be feeling like you're making a step towards growth by doing this, and you are, don't get me wrong, but that step needs to take as long as this video is. You don't need to spend any longer on it now. If you want more breakdowns like this, so settings and workflows and systems that actually help small streamers and creators grow, then make sure you are subscribed. If you want some of the free Twitch artwork before you go, as I said, the website is linked below for you. And there's also a small streamer retention checklist. This is a free little checklist to tick through every time you're about to go live to make sure that your focus is set on getting returning viewers and growth. Whilst you're down below, you'll also find our community Discord server with 300 plus other streamers and creators like you. So if you want some extra advice or some friends in the space, then feel free to jump in. We'd love to have you, and you can reach out to me there whenever you like. In the meantime, here's your last chance to subscribe before you go, and here is another video that might help you on your streaming or creator journey. And hopefully I'll see you on the next video, or when you're making headlines for being famous on Twitch.